Secure the rigging and raise the anchor. It's time to prepare the stalwart English navy and set sail with Francis Drake for loot and plunder among the mighty Spanish Main. In Francis Drake, players will attempt to emulate the feats of Francis Drake by mounting 3 voyages to the Spanish Main. The sailor who can gather the necessary crew, guns, ships and supplies in Plymouth Harbour and mount the most successful raids against England's rival of Spain will prove the most worthy and make history on the open seas. Francis Drake includes a massive shipload of components, player boards, tiles and a large, colourful game board. The Plymouth Harbour board houses the various crew, supplies, guns, trade goods and valuables that players may procure while in port or acquire at sea and return to England. The main game board represents a main street with locations where players may acquire items or assistance necessary for their voyages. There are also homebound and outbound docks for the players' ships, and a large map showing 4 zones of various locations in the Caribbean that players will sail to during their sea travels. Each game consists of 3 voyages to the Spanish Main, with each voyage having 2 phases. The first phase is provisioning. After player order is determined randomly at the start of the game, players take turns placing their player discs on an open location in Plymouth Street. When it is a player's turn to place another disc, they may place it anywhere along Plymouth Street that is further along the street than their previous placement. After a disc is placed, the player collects the items according to the location. Once a player decides that he has gathered enough items for their journey, or if there are no more legal places in Plymouth Street to place a disc, that player moves his ship to the outbound harbour. There are many interesting locations in Plymouth Street, and the location tiles are randomised at the beginning of each of the 3 voyages, offering a lot of replay value. Some locations offer a straightforward payoff, like the supplies location, which provides a number of barrels depending on where the player's disc is placed. Other locations are a bit more unpredictable, like the tavern, where a player rolls the die and receives crew according to the number on the die. The next phase is sailing. Each player has a set of numbered mission discs, which are used to determine the various locations his ships will sail to on this voyage. According to player order, in the outbound harbour, players take turns placing their mission discs on locations, stacking them if multiple discs are placed by different players. Players may place their mission discs in whatever number order they wish. After all mission discs have been placed, it's time to resolve the missions. All discs are turned over, with the lowest numbered disc being placed in the first circle, the next lowest in the second circle. Ties are resolved in player order. Only 2 attacks are allowed at each destination. The first 2 mission discs are the only ones guaranteed an attack. But attacks may fail, so other players' discs at the location may just count. Now, in turn order, each player sets sail and places their ship at the destination of their Mission 1 disc. The players will then either mount an attack or trade, depending on the destination. There are 3 different types of attack in Francis Drake: towns, forts, and galleons, and all require expenditure of a certain amount of crew and guns. For example, each town has an icon showing 1 defending troop. To successfully attack the town, the player must spend 1 crew to neutralize the troop. The first player to attack each town may also claim any silver or gold there. The player then moves his score marker, the number of VP on the town, and places 1 of his player cubes on the town icon of the Types of Conquest chart. This chart will be used to determine score once everyone has returned to Plymouth. Trading allows players to gain commodities that are desired in Plymouth. The first player in a trade port may choose which commodity he wishes to acquire and returns 1 purple trade good cube to the Plymouth Harbour chart. He then takes the commodity and places it on the corresponding icon on his ship log. After any of the player's missions is completed, he may announce his return to Plymouth and place his ship in the first empty dock in the inbound harbour. The first 2 players to return to Plymouth receive a hero's bonus, earning 2 or 1 victory point, depending on returning order. After all players have returned to Plymouth, the Types of Conquest chart determines scoring for the voyage. 1 type attacked earns a player 1 victory point, 2 types earns 4 victory points, and 3 types earns 10 victory points. In this example, we see that yellow has attacked a town, a fort, and a galleon, earning him 10 victory points. At the end of the third voyage, final scoring occurs. Using the commodities chart, players score victory points according to commodities collected. Each set of 4 different commodities scores 26 victory points. 3 sets score 16, sets of 2 score 8, and a single commodity scores 2 victory points. In this example, the group will score 26 victory points. 16 for 3 sets, 8 for a set of 1 tobacco and 1 sugar, and 2 victory points for a single tobacco. Each player will also score victory points according to treasure accumulated in their chests. 3 victory points for silver, 4 for gold, and 5 for jewels. The winner is the player with the largest total victory points. He has earned the blessings of the Queen, shown Spain the dominance of the English fleet, and secured his place in history alongside Francis Drake. This video is meant to highlight the basics of the game, but to get a full appreciation of this wonderfully complex game, it is necessary to read the full rules.